6 months after the Great Battle, Mars Colony was hosting a special celebration. The Garden Dome, the largest enclosed space in the colony, sparkled with thousands of tiny lights. Humans and Lumini alike gathered for a historic occasion, the first human Lumini wedding. Marcus stood nervously at the front of the gathering, wearing his best suit. Next to him, Inspector Reed, now a close friend, adjusted his tie. "Relax," Reed whispered. "You've faced down space pirates. This should be easy." "Fighting pirates was simpler," Marcus replied, making nearby guests laugh. The music changed, and everyone turned to watch Lyra enter. She practically floated down the aisle, her crystal form glowing with joy. She wore a dress made of flowing light, created by her own people's art. Where her feet touched the ground, small crystals bloomed like flowers. Among the guests sat the 11 Lumini they had rescued, now respected members of the Mars community. They had chosen to stay, helping build a new future between their peoples. Their soft light filled the dome with rainbow colors. Administrator Wells, who had become one of their strongest supporters, stood ready to perform the ceremony. She had worked hard to create new laws protecting all sentient beings, using the Lumini rescue as a catalyst for change. "We gather today," Wells began, "to celebrate not just the union of two hearts, but the union of two peoples. Marcus Chen and Lyra of the Lumini show us that love knows no boundaries, not of space, species, or form." Marcus took Lyra's crystalline hands in his. Her touch was warm and familiar now, like coming home. "When I found you on that ship," he said, his voice thick with emotion, "I thought I was just doing the right thing. I never imagined I would find my heart's other half. You've taught me so much about courage, about beauty, about what really matters in life." Lyra's glow pulsed with happiness as she spoke. "I was lost in darkness when you found me. You didn't just save my life. You showed me how to live it fully. You never saw me as different or strange. You saw me as I truly am. Your love gave me strength to fight, to heal, and to love again." They exchanged rings. Marcus's a simple gold band, Lyra's a special crystal that resonated with her energy. "By the powers given to me by Mars Colony," Wells announced proudly, "and with the blessing of both Earth and the Lumini Council, I now pronounce you husband and wife." As they kissed, the Lumini guests began to sing, their crystal voices creating music that made the air itself shimmer with joy. Humans joined in with their own songs, the harmony of both species creating something entirely new and beautiful. At the reception, Marcus and Lyra danced, floating slightly above the ground thanks to her abilities. Guests watched in wonder as they moved in perfect sync, human and Lumini. "Now one. What's next?" Marcus asked softly as they danced. "We keep building," Lyra replied. "The sanctuary for trafficking victims opens next month. The new Lumini Human Technology Center needs teachers. And," she glowed brighter, "the doctors say our biological differences won't prevent us from having children, if we want them." Marcus pulled her closer. "A family of our own. I'd like that." Above them, through the dome's clear panels, the stars twinkled. The same stars that had once seemed so cold and empty to Marcus, and so frightening to Lyra, now promised infinite possibilities. "I love you," Lyra whispered in both human words and Lumini song. "I love you too," Marcus replied, his heart full. "All of you, exactly as you are." They danced on, surrounded by friends and family from two worlds, their love a bridge between the stars. Proof that sometimes the greatest adventures in space lead straight to the heart. The endless void of space stretched before Marcus Chen's cargo ship, the Star Runner. His routine supply run to Mars had taken longer than usual, and he was eager to get home. The ship's old engine hummed steadily as he checked his navigation screen, making sure he was still on course. "Just another boring day," Marcus muttered to himself, running his hand through his messy black hair. At 32 years old, he had spent the last decade making these supply runs. The pay was good, But the loneliness of space sometimes got to him. A sudden beeping from his radar caught his attention. Marcus sat up straight, his brown eyes narrowing at the screen. There shouldn't be any other ships in this part of space. It was too far from the regular trading routes. "Computer, what's that signal?" he asked, tapping the blinking dot on his screen. "Unknown vessel detected. No active power signature. Ship appears to be drifting," the computer responded in its monotone voice. Marcus bit his lip, thinking. Space law required all pilots to check on potential distress signals, but something felt off about this. He could just report it and continue his journey, but his conscience wouldn't let him leave without making sure no one needed help. "Change course," he ordered. "Let's take a closer look." As the Star Runner drew closer, Marcus saw the ship was much larger than his own. Its dark hull showed signs of weapon damage, and there were no lights visible in any of the windows. He guided his ship carefully alongside it, looking for any sign of life. "Computer, scan for life signs. One faint biological signature detected. Not human. Located in the cargo hold." Marcus's heart began to beat faster. First contact with alien life had happened years ago, but meeting new species was still rare. He suited up in his space gear, making sure his weapon was secure at his hip, just in case. Using his ship's emergency docking tube, Marcus entered the derelict vessel. His boots made hollow sounds against the metal floor as he walked through the dark corridors. The air was thin but breathable, and emergency lights cast eerie red shadows everywhere. Following his scanner, he made his way to the cargo hold. What he found there made him stop in his tracks. In the center of the room stood a large crystal container, glowing with a soft blue light. Inside floated a being unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. She, and somehow he knew it was a she, was humanoid in shape but seemed to be made of living crystal. Her skin sparkled like diamonds, and what looked like hair flowed around her head like strands of starlight. She was beautiful, but what caught Marcus's attention were the heavy energy chains binding her limbs and the clear signs of abuse on her crystalline form. Some of her edges were chipped and dark cracks spread across her shoulder. "My God," he whispered, approaching the container. The being's eyes suddenly opened, revealing pools of swirling silver. Fear flashed across her face. Marcus raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "It's okay," he said softly, even though he wasn't sure if she could understand him. "I'm not here to hurt you." He moved closer to the control panel of her container, studying it carefully. It was alien technology, but he could figure out enough to see she was being kept in some kind of stasis. The being watched him intently as he worked. After a few minutes, Marcus found what looked like a release mechanism. He hesitated for just a moment, then made his decision. "I'm getting you out of there," he said firmly. "No one deserves to be kept like this." As he reached for the controls, distant alarms began to sound throughout the ship. Someone else had arrived. Marcus's heart raced as the alarms blared through the abandoned ship. The crystalline being in the container looked at him with terror in her silver eyes. He had to make a choice fast. "Hold on," he said, quickly pressing the release controls. The container hissed as it opened, and the energy chains holding her disappeared. The alien being fell forward, weak from her captivity. Marcus caught her gently, surprised to find that despite her crystalline appearance, she felt warm to the touch. She was lighter than he expected, like holding solidified starlight. "Can you understand me?" he asked, helping her stand. She nodded slowly, her voice coming out like chimes in the wind. "Yes." Translation crystals, embedded during capture. She stumbled, still unsteady. "They're coming back. The pirates. You must leave me." "Not happening," Marcus said firmly. "I'm Marcus Chen. Can you walk?" "I am Lyra," she replied, straightening up with effort. "I think I can manage." The sound of a ship docking echoed through the halls. Marcus pulled out his hand scanner, checking the layout of the vessel. "My ship is docked on the other side. We need to move." They hurried through the dark corridors, Lyra becoming stronger with each step. Heavy footsteps and rough voices could be heard behind them. "The merchandise is loose," a harsh voice shouted. "Find it." Marcus felt Lyra tense beside him. He squeezed her hand reassuringly. Almost there, just a little further. They reached a junction when laser fire erupted behind them. Marcus pulled Lyra behind a metal support beam, drawing his own weapon. "There's something you should know," Lyra said quickly. "My people, the Lumini, we can enhance energy systems. If we reach your ship, I can help us escape." Marcus fired back at their pursuers, forcing them to take cover. "Good to know. But first we need to get there." They ran again, dodging more laser fire. Lyra suddenly stopped at a control panel, her crystalline hands glowing as she touched it. The corridor lights behind them exploded, plunging their pursuers into darkness. "Nice trick," Marcus grinned. They finally reached his ship. Marcus sealed the emergency docking tube behind them, but he knew it wouldn't hold the pirates for long. "Get to the engine room," he ordered as they boarded the Star Runner. "Do whatever you can to boost our power. I'll get us out of here." Lyra nodded and hurried away while Marcus jumped into the pilot's seat. Through the view screen, he could see the pirate ship was much larger and better armed than his cargo vessel. Come on," he muttered, firing up the engines. The whole ship suddenly hummed with new energy as Lyra worked her magic. The power readings shot up beyond anything he'd seen before. The Star Runner pulled away just as the pirates started firing. Marcus dove into a nearby asteroid field, using the enhanced engines to weave between the massive rocks. "Holding on back there," he called out. "Yes," Lyra's voice came through the intercom. "But I don't know how long I can maintain this power level." Marcus smiled grimly. "Just give me 2 more minutes." He piloted the ship through the asteroids at dangerous speeds, using moves that would normally be impossible in a cargo ship. The pirates tried to follow but couldn't match his enhanced maneuverability. One of their shots went wide, hitting an asteroid instead. The explosion created a chain reaction, forcing them to retreat. When they were finally clear, Marcus set the ship on autopilot and went to check on Lyra. He found her slumped against the engine housing, exhausted but smiling. "You saved me," she said softly. Marcus helped her up. "Yeah, well, I couldn't just leave you there. Welcome aboard the Star Runner, Lyra. Let's get you somewhere safe." The red surface of Mars grew larger in the Star Runner's view screen. Marcus glanced at Lyra, who sat in the co-pilot's seat, her crystalline form reflecting the planet's rusty glow. During their 2-day journey, he had learned more about her people, the Lumini, and the horrors she had faced. "Mars colony might not be the prettiest place," Marcus said, "but it's got good people. We'll get you help there." Lyra nodded, though her silver eyes showed worry. "What if they want to study me, like the pirates did?" "That won't happen," Marcus promised. "Not while I'm around." The colony's control tower crackled over the radio. "Cargo ship Star Runner, this is Mars Control. We show an unregistered life form aboard. Please explain." Marcus took a deep breath. "Mars Control, this is Marcus Chen. I have a refugee seeking asylum, requesting emergency landing and meeting with the Rights Council." There was a long pause before the tower responded. "Proceed to Landing Bay 7. Security will meet you there." They landed smoothly, but as promised, 6 armed guards waited for them. A tall woman in an official uniform stepped forward as Marcus and Lyra exited the ship. "I'm Administrator Sarah Wells," she said, studying Lyra with obvious interest. "This is unexpected." "My name is Lyra," the Lumini said, standing straight despite her nervousness. "I seek protection under Section 12 of the Sentient Rights Act." The administrator's eyebrows rose. "You know our laws." "Marcus taught me during our journey," Lyra explained. "He said knowledge would protect me better than fear." Wells nodded slowly. "Very well. But protocol requires a full medical examination and—" "I'll go with her," Marcus interrupted, "as her advocate." The next few hours were tense. Doctors examined Lyra while Marcus watched carefully, making sure they treated her with respect. The medical staff was amazed by her crystalline biology and her ability to interact with energy systems. Fascinating, one doctor muttered. The research possibilities. She's a person, not a research subject, Marcus said firmly. Later that day, they faced the Mars Rights Council, 5 stern-faced officials who would decide Lyra's fate. Marcus stood beside her as she told her story, how the pirates had raided her home world, how they had used her people's abilities to power their ships, and how she had been saved. The Lumini are peaceful, Lyra explained. We share our gifts freely with those who ask. But the pirates, they took what they wanted. The council members whispered among themselves. Finally, the head counselor spoke. The evidence of trafficking is clear, and your case falls within our refugee provisions. We grant you protected status and full rights under Mars colony law. Relief washed over Lyra's face, making her glow brighter. Marcus smiled, but their victory was short-lived. However, the counselor continued, given your unique abilities, we must insist on certain restrictions for colony security. What restrictions? Marcus demanded. Limited movement, supervised activities, regular check-ins with security. Lyra's glow dimmed. You mean another kind of cage? Marcus stepped forward. With respect, counselors, that's exactly what she escaped from. You can't claim to protect her rights while taking away her freedom. Mr. Chen, the counselor started. She's not a threat. She's a victim of abuse who needs a chance to heal and live freely. Marcus looked at each council member. If you're worried about security, I'll take full responsibility. She can stay with me. I have a home here, a good record. I'll help her adjust. The council debated again. Finally, they agreed to Marcus's proposal, with the condition that he would be her official guardian for 6 months. As they left the council chamber, Lyra touched Marcus's arm. Her crystal skin sparkled with happiness. Thank you, she said softly, for believing in me, for fighting for me. Marcus smiled. That's what friends do. Come on, let's go home. 3 weeks had passed since Lyra came to live in Marcus's apartment in the Mars colony. She had made the spare room her own, filling it with crystals that glowed in patterns matching her moods. Marcus enjoyed teaching her about human life, and she taught him about her culture in return. But their peace wasn't meant to last. One morning, Marcus woke to find Lyra staring at the news screen, her crystalline form pulsing with worry. What's wrong? He asked, walking over. Look, she pointed at the screen. Another ship was attacked near Jupiter, just like the one I was on. Marcus watched the news report. A cargo ship had been hit by pirates, but this time they had left something behind. A message demanding the return of their property. They're looking for me, Lyra whispered. Marcus's jaw tightened. You're not property, and they're not getting anywhere near you. Just then, his communication device buzzed. It was Administrator Wells. Chen, get to my office now. Bring the Lumini. When they arrived, Wells wasn't alone. A man in an expensive suit sat at her desk, smiling coldly. This is Inspector Reed from Earth Security, Wells said, looking uncomfortable. He has some concerns. We've been tracking these pirates for months, Reed said smoothly. They've attacked 12 ships since your guest arrived. People are dying. Lyra's glow dimmed. You think it's my fault? Of course not, Marcus said firmly. The pirates are responsible for their own actions. Reed stood up. Perhaps, but if we returned you to them? Absolutely not. Marcus stepped between Reed and Lyra. That's illegal, and you know it. Sometimes we must bend laws to save lives, Reed replied. Besides, she's not human. Different rules could apply. Marcus felt Lyra trembling behind him. Suddenly, the lights in the office flickered. Computer screens flashed with static. What's happening? Wells demanded. Lyra's voice was stronger than Marcus had ever heard it. I'm showing you something, Inspector. Feel how the energy moves through this building. I could shut it all down. But I don't, because that would be wrong. Just like returning me to slavers would be wrong. The lights stabilized. Reed's face had gone pale. The pirates aren't attacking because of me, Lyra continued. They're attacking because no one has stopped them. But I can help you do that. Marcus looked at her with surprise. What do you mean? I know their ships, their systems. I can tell you how to track them, how to fight them. But only if you treat me as an ally, not a bargaining chip. Reed and Wells exchanged looks. Finally, Wells spoke. What do you propose? Over the next hour, Lyra explained the pirates' technology, their tactics, their weaknesses. Marcus watched proudly as she transformed from a victim into a warrior. They use stolen Lumini crystals to power their weapons, she explained. But the crystals can be overloaded. I can show your engineers how. Reed took notes quickly. This could work. But why help us? Because Earth, Mars, my homeworld, we're all connected now, Lyra said. Marcus showed me that humans can be kind, can fight for what's right. So I'll fight too. As they left the office, Marcus touched Lyra's shoulder. That was brave. But are you sure about this? It could be dangerous. Lyra's crystal form pulsed with determination. You saved me, Marcus. Now it's my turn to help save others. Marcus nodded. Then we'll do it together. Partners. Partners. Lyra agreed, her glow brightening. The pirates thought they could own me. Instead, they'll learn what happens when you underestimate both humans and Lumini. The Mars colony war room buzzed with activity. Marcus and Lyra stood before a large holographic map showing pirate attack locations. After 2 months of planning, they were ready to strike back. We found their base, Lyra explained, her crystalline finger pointing to an asteroid belt near Saturn. They're holding more of my people there. I can feel their energy signatures. Commander Torres, the head of Mars Defense, studied the map. How many Lumini are we talking about? At least 12, Lyra said sadly. They're using them to power a hidden station. Marcus stepped forward. We've assembled a rescue team. Small, fast ships that can slip past their defenses. Once inside, Lyra can help free her people. It's too dangerous. Torres shook her head. If we fail, if we do nothing, more will suffer, Lyra interrupted. Her crystal body glowed with fierce determination. I was a slave once. No more. The door burst open and Inspector Reed rushed in. We have a problem. Someone leaked our plans to the pirates. What? Marcus's hand tightened on his chair. How? We have a traitor, Reed said grimly. Someone high-ranking sold the information. Lyra suddenly stiffened, her glow pulsing rapidly. The energy patterns in this room. Someone sending a transmission right now. Everyone looked around the room. Commander Torres reached for her communicator, but Marcus noticed her hands shaking. It's you, he said quietly. You're working with them. Torres bolted for the door, but Lyra was faster. With a wave of her hand, the electronic lock engaged. Why? Reed demanded. You're supposed to protect people. The pirates paid well. Torres spat. Besides, they're just aliens. Who cares? I care, Marcus said, his voice hard. And so does every decent person in this colony. Torres laughed bitterly. You're a fool, Chen. Even now, their ships are heading this way. You've lost. Lyra stepped forward, her crystal form blazing with light. No, you've just given us exactly what we needed. A way to track their movements. Reed quickly understood. We can use her transmission signal to locate their fleet. And now we know exactly when they're coming, Marcus added with a grim smile. Within hours, Torres was in custody and the rescue mission changed. Instead of searching for the pirate base, they would ambush the incoming fleet. Lyra worked with the engineers, showing them how to disrupt the stolen Lumini technology. As they prepared to leave, Marcus found Lyra in their apartment, staring out at the Martian landscape. Having second thoughts, he asked gently. She turned to him, her silver eyes shimmering. I'm not afraid of fighting. I'm afraid of failing. My people, they've suffered so much. Marcus took her crystalline hand in his. Over the past months, what had started as friendship had grown into something deeper, something neither of them had expected. You won't fail, he said firmly. And you're not alone anymore. Lyra's glow softened. When I was first captured, I thought all humans were monsters. But then I met you, Marcus. You showed me that real strength comes from kindness, from fighting for what's right. You taught me a few things too, Marcus smiled. Like never judging someone by their appearance, or that sometimes the most beautiful things in life come from the stars. An alarm sounded through the colony. It was time. Ready to show those pirates what happens when they mess with Mars' colony? Marcus asked. Lyra's crystal form pulsed with energy and determination. Ready to show them what happens when they underestimate a free Lumini and the human who believed in her. Together, they headed for the landing bay. The final battle was about to begin, but they faced it not as rescuer and refugee, but as equals, partners, and perhaps something more. The space around Mars lit up with explosions as the battle began. Marcus piloted the Star Runner, now modified with Lyra's help, through the chaos. 5 pirate ships had emerged from hyperspace, their weapons charged with stolen Lumini energy. They're powering up their main guns, Lyra warned from the co-pilot's seat. Her crystal form pulsed with a mix of anger and determination. Ready for our trick? Marcus asked, his hand steady on the controls. Lyra nodded. The other Lumini can feel me. They'd know help is coming. The Mars defense fleet spread out, following their plan. The pirates, confident in their superior weapons, flew straight into their trap. Now, Marcus shouted. Lyra pressed her hands against the ship's power core. Brilliant light flowed from her into the systems. At the same time, all across the pirate fleet, the enslaved Lumini felt her signal and understood. The pirates fired their main weapons, but nothing happened. Their stolen Lumini power cores had gone dark. It worked. Marcus grinned. They can't access the Lumini energy. Mars defense ships swarmed the powerless pirate vessels, but the largest pirate ship, the flagship, still had some power left. That's where they're keeping my people, Lyra said. We have to get aboard. Marcus nodded and piloted the Star Runner toward the flagship, while other ships provided cover. They docked successfully, and both rushed to put on spacesuits. Stay close to me, Marcus said, checking Lyra's suit one last time. Even through the crystal, he could see her nervousness. They boarded the pirate ship through an emergency airlock. The corridors were dark, lit only by emergency lights and Lyra's natural glow. They encountered 2 pirates who tried to stop them, but Lyra's power over the ship's systems sealed them behind blast doors. Finally, they reached the power core room. Inside, 12 Lumini were chained with energy restraints, their crystal bodies dim with exhaustion. Sisters, brothers, Lyra called out in a musical language Marcus had never heard before. The captured Lumini looked up, hope returning to their faces. But before they could free them, a harsh voice rang out. How touching. The pirate captain stepped from the shadows, holding a strange weapon. Did you think we wouldn't have a backup plan? This gun doesn't need Lumini power, just good old-fashioned bullets. He aimed at Marcus. Step away from the power cores, or I shoot your human friend. Lyra moved to protect Marcus, but he gently pushed her aside. No, we didn't come this far to give up. The captain laughed. Brave words for a dead man. Suddenly, one of the captured Lumini spoke. We are not your batteries anymore. All 12 of them began to glow brighter. The captain fired at Marcus, but Lyra was faster. She created an energy shield that deflected the bullet. At the same time, the other Lumini focused their remaining power. The energy chains holding them shattered. The captain tried to run, but found himself trapped by walls of pure light. The freed Lumini surrounded him, their combined glow almost blinding. It's over, Lyra said firmly. Your slaves are free. Your ships are captured. Surrender. Mars security forces arrived minutes later to arrest the captain. As medics checked the freed Lumini, Lyra fell into Marcus's arms, exhausted but happy. You did it, he said proudly. You freed your people. She looked up at him, her silver eyes bright. We did it together, just like everything else since you found me. Around them, the freed Lumini began to sing a song of joy and liberation. The sound echoed through the ship like crystal bells in the wind. The battle was won. The pirates were defeated, and somewhere in the midst of it all, a human man and a crystal woman had found something neither expected: love that bridged the stars themselves.